Your dog circled the same spot 3 times tonight before lying down. You watched. You smiled a little, and somewhere in the back of your mind you thought, why does he do that? That moment right there, that tiny thing your dog does that you've never quite gotten a real answer for, that's exactly what this is. 60 behaviors, all of them things your dog actually does. And by the time we're done, you're going to understand your dog in a way you never have before. Not facts you'll forget by tomorrow. Real understanding. The kind that changes how you see them every single day. Because here's the thing most people miss. Your dog isn't behaving randomly. Not ever. Every single thing they do, every spin, every sigh, every time they follow you into the bathroom, it all means something. It's all communication. And once you know what it means, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Some of what's in here is going to surprise you. A few things are going to make you laugh. And I'll be honest with you, at least one moment in this video is going to hit you somewhere quiet. Because some of what your dog does every single day is their way of saying something they have no words for. Stay for behavior 50. That one specifically, I want you to experience that one yourself. All right, let's get into it. Behavior 1, spinning before lying down. Your dog walks to their spot, sniffs it, and then circles it. Once, twice, sometimes 4 full rotations, before finally, deliberately, lying down. Like they just completed something necessary. This isn't personality. This isn't a quirk. This is ancient, and it runs deep. Their wolf ancestors slept in grass, in leaves, on uneven ground. Circling that patch would flatten it, clear out anything hiding underneath. Insects, small creatures, anything that moved in the night. But it wasn't only about comfort. The circling also helped them align with the wind, positioning themselves so they could catch the scent of anything approaching from any direction while they slept. It was a security ritual before rest. The wiring for all of that is still intact inside your dog today. Your living room has no snakes. Your couch cushion doesn't need clearing. Your dog faces no predators in the night. But the nervous system doesn't know that. It just knows the sequence that has preceded safe sleep for thousands of years. So the sequence runs, every single night, perfectly preserved. What looks like a little bedtime habit is an instinct older than houses, running right there in your living room. Behavior 2, constantly licking their nose. Your dog licks their nose dozens of times a day. Maybe you thought it was a nervous habit. Maybe you thought they had dry skin. It's neither of those things. A dog's nose is only fully effective when it's moist. The thin layer of mucus on the surface is what allows scent particles to stick and be properly analyzed. A dry nose loses sensitivity significantly, so they lick to maintain that coating, to keep the most powerful sensory tool they have working at full capacity. But there's a second layer most people never hear about. When they lick their nose, they're sending those collected scent particles to something called the vomeronasal organ, a separate sensing structure in the roof of the mouth that's specifically designed to analyze chemical signals. Pheromones, emotional information, biological data that the nose alone cannot fully decode. So every time your dog licks their nose, they're running what amounts to a second, deeper analysis on what they just smelled. The nose captures the information. The lick routes it to a more specialized processor. It's not anxious. It's not random. It's precision. Behavior 3, head tilting. This one gets every human in the room every single time. The moment the head tilts, everyone melts. And dogs have absolutely noticed this. But the tilt started with function, and the function is real. Dogs have large ears, or even with upright ears, the architecture of their face and muzzle creates slight acoustic blind spots. When a sound comes from a specific direction, tilting the head adjusts the angle of the ears to capture it more precisely. Think of it like rotating an antenna to find the clearest signal. They're not doing this consciously. It's automatic. Their brain is simply trying to hear better. There's also a visual component that most people don't know about. A dog's muzzle actually blocks part of their lower field of vision. When they tilt, they're shifting that visual blind spot so they can read your face more clearly, specifically your mouth and eyes, which carry the most expression. Research has found that dogs with longer muzzles tilt their heads more frequently during conversations with humans, because they literally need to see you fully. So when your dog tilts their head while you're talking to them, they're not just listening. They're watching your face for every cue available. And the fact that you respond warmly, smiling, laughing, making encouraging sounds, that part they've also learned. They know it works on you. And they're not wrong. Behavior 4, sleeping at your feet. Your dog has a good bed, maybe a great bed, and they choose the floor next to your feet. or sometimes directly on top of your feet if they can arrange it. People interpret this as anxiety, and sometimes, with the right signals alongside it, trembling, panting, a rigid posture, whites of the eyes showing, it can indicate anxiety or insecurity. But most of the time, the dog sleeping at your feet is relaxed, content, settled. The position isn't anxious, it's chosen. In animals that trust each other, sleeping in proximity is natural and comfortable. Not because they need protection, but because closeness is where they belong. Your dog isn't at your feet because they're worried about something. They're there because you are, in the most literal biological sense, their anchor. The place where everything feels right. There's warmth there, yes. There's your scent. There's the sound of you breathing and moving, which tells their nervous system that the world is fine, that nothing has changed, that the most important member of their pack is right there. For your dog, that combination is enough to make any spot the best spot. Behavior 5. Staring at you. You're trying to read, trying to work, trying to think, and you look up and your dog is just watching you. Not doing anything, not asking for anything visible, just watching with that particular kind of patient, focused attention. Dogs have been studying humans for roughly 30,000 years. That's the estimated timeline of domestication. 30,000 years of living alongside people, learning to read them, building a sensitivity to human emotion and intent that almost no other animal has developed. Studies have shown that dogs outperform even our closest primate relatives at reading human social cues. They've evolved specifically to watch us. So when your dog stares at you, they're not zoning out. They're not bored. They're reading every micro-expression, every shift in posture, every subtle signal that might tell them what's about to happen next. They're building a picture of your emotional state in real time, constantly, because knowing your state helps them navigate their own. And something else. When you and your dog hold eye contact, both looking at each other, sustained and calm, both of you release oxytocin, the same bonding hormone that flows between a mother and her newborn child in the first hours of life. That's not a metaphor. That's biology. A 2015 study from Azabu University in Japan measured the oxytocin levels in both owners and dogs during mutual gaze sessions. In owners, levels rose by an average of 300%. In the dogs, 130%. Simply from looking at each other. That stare is building something. Every single time. And if you've ever sat with your dog in a quiet room and felt something in those moments, something you couldn't quite name, now you know exactly what that was. If the kind of thing we're doing here, going this deep, looking at your dog at this level, if that resonates with you, there's more of this every week. Just hit subscribe, that's all, and we'll keep going. Behavior 6. Sneezing during play. Mid-wrestle, everything is going great, tail is at maximum velocity, and your dog sneezes. Possibly twice. You freeze, wondering if something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. When play gets physically intense, sneezing functions as a reset signal. A built-in communication that says clearly, still playing, still good, this is all still fun. It's like a pause button that both parties understand. An acknowledgement that even though things are getting energetic, there's no actual aggression happening here. In social play between dogs, you'll see it constantly. One dog sneezing mid-wrestle to confirm the mood. Your dog is using the same signal with you. You'll also notice sneezing in pure excitement moments, right before a walk, the second you pick up the leash. That's different. That's a happiness sneeze, an overflow sneeze. Their way of expressing a burst of anticipation they don't have another outlet for. Think of it as the canine equivalent of a little involuntary sound when you're really looking forward to something. They can't help it. It just comes out. Behavior 7. The zoomies. The scientific term is frenetic random activity period, which is an extremely formal name for something that looks completely unhinged. Your dog snaps, some trigger hits, and suddenly they're running full circuits through the house, bouncing off furniture, stopping dead in their tracks, spinning, then launching again at full speed. It lasts a minute or two, and then it's just over, like it never happened. Two main reasons, and they're worth knowing because they're different. First, tension release. Dogs, especially after anything requiring sustained self-control, a bath, a long car ride, a crate, a stressful situation, accumulate tension in the body. Not emotional tension in the human sense, but physical tension. Built up physiological arousal that needs somewhere to go. The zoomies is the body dumping that accumulated state, almost involuntarily, like a very long-held breath finally releasing. The running isn't excitement, it's relief. Second, pure joy. And I want you to sit with this one for a second. Your dog has no words for, "I am so happy right now that my body cannot contain it." They have no way to express what is essentially an overflowing of happiness. So they run, as fast as they possibly can, in every direction, with their whole body. That is what maximum joy looks like in an animal that can't speak. Next time you see the zoomies, know exactly what that is. Behavior 8. Sleeping on their back. Legs in the air, belly completely exposed. Looking, if we're being honest, absolutely ridiculous. The physical reason first. The fur on a dog's belly is thinner than anywhere else on their body, sometimes barely there at all. By flipping onto their back, they expose that area to the air, allowing heat to escape much more effectively than through their denser coat. This is active temperature regulation. On warmer days, you'll see this more often, and you'll often find them seeking out cool tile or areas with airflow to maximize the effect. The pose is functional, but there's a second layer that matters more. Exposing the belly is the most vulnerable position a dog can physically be in. Everything vital is right there, unprotected, accessible. For a dog to choose to sleep in this position, they need to feel not just comfortable, but completely, deeply safe. There is no perceived threat in any direction. There is nothing they need to stay alert for. The environment is so secure that they can afford to be fully exposed and fully relaxed at the same time. A dog who sleeps on their back in your home is giving you a very clear piece of information. They trust this place. They trust you. Completely. Behavior 9. Chasing their tail. In puppies, this is almost entirely exploration. That thing keeps moving and they haven't fully mapped their own body yet. The tail is a fascinating object that turns out to be attached to them, which makes the whole thing more confusing. They'll grow out of it as their sense of their own body develops. It's discovery, not a problem. In adult dogs, occasional tail chasing during a burst of energy or playfulness is still within normal range. But when it becomes persistent, coming back to it regularly, doing it for minutes at a time, doing it in situations that aren't playful, that pattern is worth paying attention to. Persistent tail chasing in adult dogs is most commonly a sign of boredom or insufficient stimulation. Sometimes it's low-level anxiety finding a repetitive outlet. The tail isn't the issue, and punishing the behavior misses the point entirely. What the dog needs is more. More exercise, more engagement, more of the kind of activity that actually uses them up. The tail chasing is just how they're telling you that. Behavior 10. Yawning when they're not tired. Your dog yawns at the vet. Your dog yawns during a tense moment at the dog park. Your dog yawns when the energy in the room shifts, when voices get louder, when something uncertain is happening. This is not fatigue. Yawning is one of what behavioral scientists call the calming signals, a set of behaviors dogs use to manage tension, de-escalate interactions, signal peaceful intent to others, and regulate their own nervous system in the moment. When your dog yawns during something stressful, they're doing two things simultaneously: communicating to whatever is stressing them that they are not a threat, and actively working to bring their own state down from elevated back to baseline. A study from Kyoto University found something that makes this even more interesting. Dogs were significantly more likely to yawn contagiously in response to their owner yawning than to a stranger yawning. That shared involuntary response, yawning together, is actually a measurable marker of emotional connection. It means their nervous system is tracking yours closely enough to mirror it. The contagious yawn between you and your dog is, quietly, one of the signs of how bonded you are. Behavior 11. Eating grass. This genuinely stresses people out. Your dog is eating your lawn and you're convinced something must be wrong with them, that they're sick, that they're desperately trying to make themselves vomit. The reality is usually much more ordinary than that. Multiple scientific studies have looked at this behavior specifically. The consistent finding: the majority of dogs who eat grass, most estimates say 79% or more, show no signs of illness before doing it. and only a small percentage vomit afterward. They're not sick. They're not attempting to purge something. Many of them just like it. The texture, the taste, the coolness of fresh grass. There's also a fiber angle. Plant material helps regulate digestion and move things through the system, and dogs instinctively seek it out when their gut needs it. Wild canids eat plant matter regularly. It's part of the diet, not an aberration. The version that warrants attention looks different. Frantic, intense grass eating that seems compulsive, that the dog can't seem to stop. That can indicate a gastrointestinal issue worth a vet conversation. But the relaxed, occasional, clearly enjoying this grazing your dog does on a nice day? That's just your dog being a more complete omnivore than we tend to give them credit for. Behavior 12. Scratching the ground after pooping. They finish, walk away a few steps, and then turn back and kick the ground energetically with their back feet. Sometimes really energetically. Like they're making a very specific statement to everyone in the vicinity. They are making a statement, just not the one you'd assume. This is not cleanup. Dogs aren't trying to cover what they've done or hide evidence of their presence. It's actually the exact opposite. The paw pads contain scent glands, small but biologically significant, and by scratching the ground, they're distributing that scent over a much wider radius than the waist alone would cover. They're amplifying their signal, making their presence known across a larger area, saying, as clearly as they're capable of, "I was here, this is my territory, this is my range." It's territorial communication being broadcast as broadly as possible. Both male and female dogs do this equally. It's not a male-only behavior, which surprises some people. If anything, the kick is the main event. The rest was just the opening act. Behavior 13. Circling before pooping. This is distinct from the bedtime spinning, and it has a piece of science attached to it that genuinely surprised researchers when they found it. The circling serves several practical purposes: scanning the surroundings for any approaching threats before entering the most vulnerable position possible, positioning for physical comfort, and activating the scent glands in the paw pads to mark the territory before eliminating. These all make sense and fit the pattern of other canine behaviors. But a 2013 study published in Frontiers in Zoology found something nobody was looking for. Over a 2-year observation period tracking 70 dogs, researchers found that dogs showed a statistically significant preference for aligning their bodies along the north-south axis of the Earth's magnetic field when defecating. The preference was strongest when the magnetic field was stable and diminished during periods of magnetic disturbance. Dogs appear to have a functional sensitivity to the Earth's geomagnetic field. The circling may partly be them finding that alignment before they go. That's not a folk observation. That's controlled scientific research. Your dog may be using the Earth's magnetic field to orient themselves for a bathroom trip. Take a moment with that one. Behavior 14. Scooting. This one is important and it's not funny, even though it looks it. When a dog drags their rear end across the floor, something is causing them physical discomfort back there, and they're trying to get relief by any means available. The most common cause is the anal sacs, 2 small glands located on either side of the rectum that normally express during bowel movements. When they fail to empty properly, they become swollen, uncomfortable, sometimes infected, occasionally impacted to the point of abscess. Scooting is the dog trying to create the pressure and friction that will bring some relief. Other causes include allergies causing skin irritation in that area, parasitic infections, and general anal or perianal skin inflammation. None of these are things that improve on their own, and all of them cause the dog genuine, ongoing discomfort. If your dog is scooting, especially if it's happening repeatedly, or if they're also licking that area excessively, or if there's any unusual odor, that's a vet appointment. Not eventually, soon. It's almost always very treatable, but only if you catch it and act. Behavior 15. Rolling in grass or on smelly things. Your dog finds something deeply, magnificently awful by every human standard, and they throw themselves onto it and roll with what can only be described as complete, unself-conscious joy. This is one of the most ancient behaviors dogs carry intact, and the reason for it goes back to hunting. Wild canids and their wolf ancestors would roll in the scents of other animals, decomposing material, animal droppings, the kills of other predators, to mask their own scent before a hunt. A wolf that smells like a wolf gets detected. A wolf that smells like a dead deer or a pile of something unidentifiable has a significant advantage. The ones who use this technique consistently hunted better. The instinct locked in over generations. Your dog is not doing this to irritate you. There is no agenda, no intent to be difficult. They found something that their oldest programming flagged as significant, and the behavior fired. The fact that you then have to bathe them, and the fact that they may immediately attempt to reapply the smell afterward, is simply a difference in what the two of you find valuable in a scent. A genuine difference of opinion. Behavior 16. Excessive paw licking. Some paw licking is completely normal grooming. A quick cleaning after a walk, a regular maintenance lick. That's fine and doesn't need attention. The version worth paying attention to is different. Your dog repeatedly returning to one specific paw, licking it for extended periods, coming back to it throughout the day, sometimes licking until the area is red or visibly irritated. First step is always physical inspection. Part the fur between the toes and look carefully. Small foreign objects, grass seeds, splinters, tiny pieces of gravel, can work their way into the skin and cause significant irritation without being obviously visible. Small cuts, blisters from hot pavement, or contact with a chemical irritant are also common and easy to miss. If the paw looks completely clean and undamaged, the next consideration is allergies. Food sensitivities or environmental allergens frequently manifest through skin irritation, and the paws are a particularly common sight. And if everything physical checks out and the pattern continues, it's worth asking what else might be going on. Repetitive self-soothing behaviors in dogs, licking, chewing, pacing, are often tied to insufficient stimulation or underlying anxiety. The licking feels calming in the moment. The solution isn't stopping it. The solution is understanding why the dog needs it. Behavior 17. Barking at their reflection. Your dog encounters a mirror, sees the dog in the mirror, immediately and completely loses their composure. Dogs do not recognize themselves in mirrors. This has been studied, and dogs consistently don't pass the mirror self-recognition test, the ability to understand that a reflection shows you yourself. This isn't a failure or a limitation unique to dogs. Very few animals pass this test. Dogs simply identify themselves and each other primarily through scent, not through visual appearance. So a visual reflection without any scent signature is fundamentally confusing. What they see in the mirror is another dog, in their space, matching their movements exactly, which is deeply unsettling. The initial reaction is usually alarm, investigation, sometimes challenge. But then the confusing part happens. This dog has no smell, no scent at all. It doesn't register as a real biological presence the way any actual dog would. This creates a kind of cognitive dissonance, and most dogs eventually lose interest once the scent absence registers. Until the next mirror. Some dogs work through the whole sequence again every time, because the visual trigger fires before the no-smell memory catches up. Behavior 18. Howling at sirens. An ambulance goes past and your dog raises their head, pauses, and then commits to a full, sustained howl. Completely dedicated. Very sincere. This is ancient vocal behavior being triggered by a sound that lands in the right frequency range. Sirens, particularly high-pitched, sustained ones, come close to the frequency signature of a distant howl. And in wolf packs, a distant howl is a communication you respond to. You locate the caller, you confirm your own position, you say, "I hear you, I am here, all is well." The howl response is not optional. It's the social reflex of a pack animal receiving a call. Your dog isn't frightened. They're not in pain, despite how it sometimes sounds. They genuinely believe, on some level, that there's a pack member calling out across a distance, and they're answering. Whether a specific dog responds passionately or barely reacts comes down mostly to individual temperament and breed history. Huskies and beagles will answer every single time because their breeding lines have kept that vocal communication drive very strong. Some other breeds barely register it at all. Behavior 19. Bringing you gifts. You come home. Before the door is fully open, your dog is running to find something, a toy, a sock, whatever they can grab in time, so that they can bring it to you as you come in. This is worth paying attention to because it's richer than it might look. Most dogs are genuinely protective of their possessions. They guard things they care about, toys, bones, their favorite objects. The willingness to pick something up and specifically bring it to you is an act of deliberate offering. They're sharing something with someone they've chosen to share with. That takes a level of trust that not every dog extends to every person. There's also an emotional regulation piece happening. Greeting someone you love intensely is overwhelming. The feelings are big, and the body doesn't know exactly what to do with them. Having something in the mouth gives the dog a physical focus point, a way to direct that energy productively. The object gives them something to do with their whole body while the excitement is running through them. But the giving of it, placing it in your hands or at your feet, that part is a gift, meant for you specifically. Behavior 20. Stealing your stuff and running. Your sock disappears. Your dog is at the other end of the room holding it, watching you with what can only be described as a deliberate challenge in their eyes, waiting. Two things are happening at once, and both are real. The first is attention-seeking as a strategy, and it works almost every time because you respond. You get up, you engage, you chase or negotiate or try to retrieve your belongings. From your dog's perspective, stealing something you value is one of the most reliable methods available for generating immediate interaction. The object itself isn't the goal. Getting you to move toward them is the goal. The second is scent comfort, which is something different and more tender. Dogs that specifically take worn clothing, used shoes, or items with your strongest scent aren't trying to destroy them. They're taking something that smells like you to somewhere they feel secure. Your scent on an object is genuinely, physiologically calming for a dog who's attached to you. It's not mischief dressed up as affection. It's both, running at the same time, which is a very dog thing to be. Behavior 21. Following you everywhere. You stand up, they stand up. You walk to the kitchen, they walk to the kitchen. You sit back down, they lie at your feet. You move again, they move. Every single time, without fail. This is pack coherence expressed in the modern world. Dogs are social animals whose survival historically required staying with their group, knowing where every member was, remaining within range, tracking the movements of the pack. That monitoring impulse is still intact and still running, and in your home, the pack is you. Your movements matter to them in a way that is deep and not entirely voluntary on their part. For the vast majority of dogs, this is comfortable and natural, not anxious following, peaceful following. They're not worried something will happen to you, they just belong near you, and walking with you is where belonging feels like. The version that warrants attention looks different. When your dog cannot settle even for a few minutes if you're out of their line of sight, when your movement triggers visible distress responses, when they're panting or whining or unable to rest even when you're just in the next room, that pattern is anxiety rather than attachment, and it matters to address for your dog's well-being. Behavior 22. Following you into the bathroom. You close the bathroom door. Immediately, you hear the sound of them settling against it from the other side. Or, you didn't close it fast enough, and now you have company. The same pack coherence logic applies here. Your dog tracks you. The bathroom is where you go alone, behind a closed door, unable to see what's outside. From their perspective, you've made yourself isolated and vulnerable, which is precisely when a pack member should be closest. There's also a protection element. Your dog would prefer to be positioned where they can monitor anything approaching your location. A closed door prevents that entirely. Waiting right outside is the best available compromise. They can't be in there with you, but they can be positioned to know immediately if anything changes. And some dogs have simply learned that the bathroom is where you're most stationary and most likely to give them attention, since you're not going anywhere for at least a few minutes. They know your patterns better than you think. Behavior 23. Staring at you while they poop. This one makes people laugh, and there's nothing wrong with that. It does look pretty funny. But the reason is completely real and comes from something genuine. Elimination is the most physically vulnerable moment in any animal's daily routine. You're focused on something else. Your body is in a fixed position. You can't react quickly to anything approaching from any direction. Wild animals are most at risk in these moments, and that vulnerability is something dogs carry in their wiring even when the actual threat level is zero. When your dog is doing their business outside and they look at you, they're reading you for environmental reassurance. Are you relaxed? Is your posture normal? Is your attention calm and undirected? Your state tells them whether the coast is clear. If you're unbothered, they can complete what they're doing without worry. If you suddenly looked alert or tense, they'd probably cut things short. In that specific, slightly absurd moment, you are standing guard. and they're checking to confirm you understand that's your current job. Behavior 24. Taking food to a different spot. You give your dog a treat. They pick it up, walk deliberately to another location, their corner, their bed, a specific spot on the rug, and eat it there. Never where you gave it to them. For some dogs, this is simply a comfort and security preference. Certain spots feel more private, more claimed, more genuinely their own territory. Eating in that space feels more settled than eating in the middle of wherever food was handed to them. The food is the same. The location carries meaning. In multi-pet households, or in dogs with any resource-guarding tendencies, it also has a positioning function. I am moving this resource to a location that is unambiguously mine, where I don't have to monitor anyone else while I eat it. And then there's the version that goes the other direction. When your dog takes their food and brings it to wherever you are, eating it near you or directly at your feet. That one is its own statement. They want your company for the meal. Being near you while they eat feels more like meals should feel. Both versions are your dog telling you something about what makes them feel right. Behavior 25. Sleeping with tongue out. The tip of the tongue just slightly sticking out, or sometimes the whole bottom jaw slack and the tongue hanging forward. They look deeply relaxed and mildly ridiculous, and somehow both at once. This is relaxation taken to its fullest physical expression. When the body releases tension completely, all of it, throughout the musculature, the jaw goes slack and the tongue follows gravity. It requires complete absence of alertness, complete physical release. You see it after long walks, after satisfying play, after the kind of day that used them up properly. There's a temperature function as well. A tongue slightly extended allows for passive evaporation and cooling even during sleep, which matters for dogs who run warm or sleep in warmer rooms. In flat-faced breeds, bulldogs, pugs, French bulldogs, Shih Tzus, the anatomy makes the tongue-out position more or less default. The mouth is proportionally shorter, sometimes missing teeth, and the tongue simply doesn't always have room to sit completely inside. For these dogs, it's structural rather than emotional. But for any dog, the sleeping tongue out is a visible sign. They are as completely rested, as fully released, as comfortable as they know how to be. Behavior 26. Sleeping with their back to you. You expected them to curl toward you, to face you the way you'd face someone you love. Instead, they position themselves pointing away, back pressed against you, and that's how they sleep. This confuses people. Sometimes it even hurts a little. But this position isn't what it looks like. In pack sleeping, animals that trust each other position themselves to maximize coverage of the surrounding space. If two individuals face the same direction, they're both watching the same blind spot. If they face opposite directions, they cover the full environment between them. By sleeping with their back to you, your dog is covering the angle you aren't watching. They're monitoring the space behind you while you rest. They've placed themselves as your rear guard. Turning their back to you isn't rejection. It isn't disinterest. It is a guard position. It means you are someone worth watching over, someone whose safety they're actively taking responsibility for while you both sleep. It's protection, offered quietly, every night. Behavior 27. Tail wagging. I want to spend some extra time here because this is one of the most misunderstood things about dogs, and the misunderstanding genuinely matters. A wagging tail does not simply mean happy. The tail is a full communication instrument, and every aspect of how it moves, the position it's held at, the speed and range of the wag, even the direction of the wag, carries specific information. A tail held high and wagging in rapid, tight movements signals alertness and arousal. It can indicate confident excitement, but at the extreme it can also mean high tension. A tail at mid-height, loose and sweeping in wide arcs, with the whole rear end moving. That's the relaxed, genuinely contented wag, the friendly greeting wag, the I'm comfortable and happy wag. A tail carried low but still moving, conflicted, uncertain, often submissive. A tail fully tucked under the body but quivering slightly, extreme submission or fear. Now here's what genuinely surprised researchers. A 2013 study published in Current Biology found that dogs wag slightly more to the right when seeing positive stimuli, primarily their owners, and slightly more to the left when seeing negative stimuli, like an unfamiliar dominant dog. This corresponds to left and right hemisphere brain activity, with positive emotions engaging the left hemisphere, which controls the right side of the body. The asymmetry in wag direction is too small for most humans to notice. but other dogs can read it immediately and respond differently to right-biased versus left-biased wags. Your dog's tail is saying more than you can see. Other dogs are reading every word. Behavior 28. Ears pulled back. Two completely different meanings, and they look similar enough that it's easy to read them wrong. The first version. Ears gently pulled back, soft and loose, paired with a relaxed body, soft eyes, and often a full body wiggle. This is contentment, comfort, happiness in the moment. You see it when your dog greets someone they genuinely love, when they're settling into a situation they enjoy, when everything is going right and they're at ease. The slightly back ears here are a relaxation signal, part of a whole body softening. The second version. Ears pinned flat against the skull, not just back, but flattened down hard, paired with a lowered head, tense body, eyes that are avoiding contact or showing whites, possibly a tucked tail. This is a fear or submission response. A dog who feels threatened, overwhelmed, or in an uncomfortable confrontation. The ears flat here is communicating something very different, and it needs to be read in that context. The ears alone don't tell the story. The body tells the story. Always read the whole dog. The ears are just one signal in a whole body sentence. Behavior 29. Panting when they're not hot. Heat panting you probably know. Open mouth, fast breathing, tongue well out. The dog's primary cooling mechanism since they can't sweat effectively through their skin. That's straightforward. But panting that has nothing to do with temperature happens constantly and is easy to miss or misread. Stress panting tends to be more intense, tighter, often with a worried expression alongside it. Ears back, eyes slightly harder, body less relaxed. You see it at the vet clinic, during fireworks and thunderstorms, in the car when the dog isn't comfortable traveling. It's often accompanied by other stress signals: yawning, lip licking, avoiding eye contact, pressed ears. Excitement panting is different. Looser, faster, with an open, happy expression, the whole body participating. Pre-walk, meeting someone they love, before the ball gets thrown. It looks like the dog can barely contain themselves because they can barely contain themselves. The sounds are similar enough to confuse at a glance. The body language around them is the key. Knowing the difference means understanding your dog's emotional state rather than just their temperature. Behavior 30. Putting their paw on you. Your dog reaches over and places their paw on your leg, or your arm, or, occasionally, directly on your face. Just rests it there, with intention. This is asking in its most direct and physical form. Dogs learn early that paw contact with a human reliably generates response. You look at them, you engage with them, something happens. Because it works, it becomes a go-to. The paw placement is their most direct way of initiating contact when they want something or want to connect. But there's a second layer that goes beyond asking. Dogs are remarkably sensitive to emotional shifts in the people they're attached to. Shifts in posture, in facial expression, in the chemical signature of cortisol that rises when someone is stressed or sad. When your dog places their paw on you during a moment when you're struggling with something, they're not responding to anything you said. They're responding to something they detected. That's not a trained behavior. It's not something they learned to do because it was rewarded. It's older than that. It's empathy expressed the only way they know how, through physical contact, through presence, through the simple statement, "I'm here." 30 behaviors, and we're only halfway through. If some of this has already changed how you look at your dog, the spinning, the staring, the paw on your leg, just wait, because the second half is where it gets deeper. We're getting into the behaviors that reveal how your dog actually feels about you, not just what they're doing, what it means. Part 2 is coming. And if you want to know the moment it drops, that's what the subscribe button is for. Hit it now and you'll be the first to know. See you in part 2.